Curiosity TV, it's Sylvia Emichetti. Today I just have a few questions for you. So let me ask you, what do you value most in life? If you had to choose between your morals as a human being compared to following earthly rules, what would you choose? Are you the type that's loyal to your job, that you'll rather be seen as following the rules, so much so that it affects your humanity? Can you judge a situation and make an intuitive decision to follow what is right rather than what is popular? Can you live your life on ethics rather than being a stickler for rules? Well, last Sunday I was drawn to two different individuals in order to learn this valuable lesson. We decided to take our girls out to lunch for one final hurrah before their school starts. So we opted to take an Uber since it was only 20 minutes away from where we live and we didn't want to drive. And since there was 4 of us, we were forced to take an Uber X large so everyone could sit comfortably at the back. Because these days, the new rule is that you cannot sit with the driver in front. So in my opinion, I think it's rubbish because they just want you to book 2 taxis or book a more expensive taxi. But we went to lunch and had a good time. And on our way back, we tried to book the exact same one, which was the Uber X large. But we couldn't. So we went for the nearest, the best thing, which was Uber X. And this driver shows up with a Mercedes E-Class, which was very comfortable. So we thought, oh, we're lucky. We can all squeeze in at the back. But as soon as he saw us, he just started shouting and raining abuses. Why have we wasted his time booking him when we know that he cannot pick more than 3 people in his car? And I proceeded to apologize to him and say, you know what, we couldn't find a bigger one to book. If not, we would have gone for that. I even suggested that if he was worried about us sitting in front with him, that all 4 of us would squeeze in the back since it was just a 20 minutes ride. And I was prepared to carry my little girl on my lap. But he wouldn't hear of it. He just started screaming and raining abuses on us. And then finally we said, you know what? Just 3 of us will go. The husband will stay behind and get himself another taxi. I was just about to open the door and get in. He suddenly canceled the ride and sped off. And I said to myself, there's a reason why I'm not meant to ride with this angry man today. And I thanked my guides and said, well, I've avoided something that would have been more trouble. So we decided to book another Uber, and this time it was a much smaller car. And as he pulled up, we were already very worried that he will say the exact same thing. But instead he looked at us and said, we're really not supposed to pick 4 people. It's the new rule since COVID. But he looked at us again and said, well, come on in, it's getting late. The children need to get home. I was perplexed that he even thought about the children because he wasn't even expecting to carry 4 passengers. And he had stuff on his front seat, his passenger seat. And he proceeded to remove all the stuff one after the other so that my husband could sit with him in front. And I said to myself, wow, Sylvia, what lesson are you supposed to learn here? What a difference in humanity. We have all emanated from this same universal source and power. And yet, we're so different in our reasoning and in our interactions with each other. No one is saying that you must break the rules, but by all means, be a human being when the need arises for you to step up and be one. Because if your boss said to you today, oh, this morning we're all going to be jumping off a cliff because it's the new rule, you're not exactly going to join in. You probably say, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm not the adventurous type. I have little kids at home. So when the need arises, like a circle, your humanity must come to the center. It must take center stage, while all earthly rules and rigidity must be pushed to the edge of the circle. Let those rules jump off a cliff. There are moments that demand who you are rather than what you do for a living. Moments that question what you stand for rather than what's written in the rule books. A soldier who's going to war to kill, because it's his job, doesn't mean killing people is right. So in carrying out our earthly duties, in what we call jobs, it must not supersede the human in us, the moral values and ethics that we should have when treating our fellow human beings. You are not a superstar for following rules blindly at your duty post, even if the Pope is the one who appointed you. You are a superstar when you can use your initiative and, frankly, some basic common sense to determine what's best in a situation despite the rules. Even a no can be said politely. It's the manner of approach that determines how you make others feel. I'm so sorry, I wish I could take all 4 of you, but I don't want my manager getting upset with me. I really must apologize. I can't do it this time. You don't have to say yes, but you must say no with a conscience that says I'm a human just like you and I understand. That way, you still cooperate with the universe by maintaining harmony and balance, even in that no that you're saying, instead of creating bad blood. We always end up tying ourselves in a karmic way to total strangers that we've never met before. We end up having connecting threads between us. Why do we do that? Your job is only one aspect of your life, and it doesn't define the human being that you are. So let us be ourselves as we go about fulfilling our duties. Because sooner or later, those who cannot use their free will to take the initiative when a situation presents itself, who cannot weigh a situation with their intuition, even if the big boss said so, in whatever work of life, they will ultimately become puppets to their slave masters, who not only control their minds, but also control their actions. And then the question will then be asked of you, where did your free will go? You might walk around freely, but you're mentally a slave if you cannot use your free will. You cannot be rigid and say, I was just doing my job, I was following the rules. To a certain degree, there's flexibility even in creation. Otherwise, the trees won't bend to the wind. They'll be static. They'll say, we're meant to grow upwards. And then we need to keep upright and stand up tall. But when fierce winds come, they must bow down to the elements. If you value the rules of your job more than you value the ethics and morals as a human being, then you're already losing your humanness. Besides, there can be no loyalty to your duty whenever it demands of you to act less than you really are, to be inconsiderate or be unreasonable to your fellow human beings. This is where your integrity must make center stage, must come out to play. Because rules can change, but you should only change for the better, not for the worse. Some of the worst crimes in history have been committed by people who were following the rules or doing their job or having to obey their boss, their general, their pastor, their guru, their spiritual leaders. In Nazi Germany, some of the Germans were doing their jobs and following rules when they decided to put Jews in concentration camps. Does that job justify the inhumane attitude towards your fellow, that you treat your fellow human being? Can they use that as an excuse when they have to face the reciprocal effects of their actions? I was only following orders. My leaders asked me to do it. Did you stop to think that maybe what's being asked of you is morally wrong and doesn't sit right in your soul? Because you're a soldier fighting for your country will not absolve you from the harm that you are doing to others, no matter how we want to justify our role as being important. And yet, it takes one person breaking the rule one day and going with her heart to make a change. You think Rosa Parks did not know the rules? The rules were written everywhere back in her days. Whites only in front of the bus, coloreds and Negroes at the back of the bus. But on that fateful day, in the most peaceful way, she made her mark. She said, no, not today. I'm black, but I'm not going to the back. And it made all the difference, silently being efficient in the way we achieve our goals and in the way that we treat each other. She knew the rules, but she sat down for her morals and she sat down for her ethics. So let us use our free will to make the right decisions. That is what qualifies us as human beings, regardless of any earthly rules. There are eternal laws in this creation that supersedes whatever earthly laws exist. And these laws will always hold us to account, whether you're a soldier or you're a doctor. So, even in your job, first, do no harm. Otherwise, this free will will have to be seized from those who have allowed themselves to be puppets for others and their agendas. We are sovereign beings. We belong to no one but our Creator. And we are free spirits, and that must come first, before any earthly rules or what we do for a living. So until next time, let me leave you with these words from Lao Tzu. One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. And one who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of this world. So when you go about your duty, whether you're the boss or you're the servant, see yourself as everyone. Every one of those people that you're permitted to interact with. And do your best when you interact with them. Bye for now.